and welcome back. Thank you for watching another Providing Resources for Emergency Preparedness YouTube video. Today I want to talk to you about a very important topic. It's making sure that you have enough herbs and spices in your food storage plan to create delicious meals if there is ever a time you need to live off your food storage. So I have all my herbs and spices laid out here. I'm going to go over you and share with you what my family is doing. That is our topic for this next Providing Resources for Emergency Preparedness YouTube video, herbs and spices. On spices up into three sections. The first section I'm going to talk about spices, the second section I'm going to talk about herbs, and then the third section I'm going to talk about other flavorings and how I refill my jars and how I store my spices. So just to give you an overview of the type of spices I stir, and I consider a spice to be anything that doesn't come in leaf form. Some of these may have been ground up leaves, but when I get it, it's not a leaf or a type of dehydrated leaf like that. So this is what I keep in my food storage stockpile far as spices. I keep cayenne pepper, and that's good for all type of flavorings. I definitely keep garlic powder, paprika, cinnamon, ginger, and I keep, I don't know whether to call this a spice or herb. I really could have put this in other, but I keep cream of tartar. And I use this a lot in baking. I use this with my angel food cakes and some of my light cupcakes. I put cream of tartar in when I want them to be light and more spongy-like, more like Twinkie-like. I put the cream of tartar in that. I have chili powder, some cumin, nutmeg, onion, and I have chicholary peppercorns, which are black peppercorns, this kind right here. And I just grind those up. And I also have Montauk peppercorns, which are white peppercorns, and they add a different type of peppery flavor, but as you can see, the jar is low, so I use them all the time. Continuing on with the spices, the spices, I use allspice, I have mustard powder, and I have red pepper flakes, and you can see through the jar there that those are really red. So this is what I keep in my spices. Now, it will vary from household to household depending on what you're cooking and how you like to prepare your meals and your dishes. So there might be something that you have in your cabinet that I don't have here, but I'm just showing you what my family has in its spices for its spices. So I just wanted to share that with you, and then you can review your spices and see if you're missing anything, or if you have a spice you highly recommend. Please leave that comment below, because I would love to know if there's a spice that I don't have here that you think I should have in my long-term food store supplies. And as you can see with a lot of my jars, I'll just turn them around. They're low. They're low because I use them. And that's the important part when you're cooking with herbs and spices, is to use your spices. So a lot of these jars are low, and I do have refills for them, and I go through my spices and herbs on a regular basis because I'm cooking at home more and more now, and I find that what I make at home is better than what I make in the store. So if you look at the back of the jars, you'll see that some of the spices are really low because I've been going through them, and I wrote a few spices that I want to talk to you about that I keep in my for my food storage is I keep cloves, and I keep two forms of cloves. I keep whole cloves and I keep ground cloves. And you know what whole cloves look like. They look like this. And then the ground cloves, let me put this lid back on this one. The ground cloves look like this. And I also keep these in my food store supplies, but I don't keep as large of amounts of the cloves because I don't go through them that often. But I do have a lot of beans, and I use ground cloves in a lot of my beans, and most of 99% of my bean recipes, except when I cook black beans, I don't use ground cloves. But I do use a lot of that, and I do have a lot of beans in stores, so I am going to bulk up on my clove stores. I'm going to make a note of that when I get back upstairs. So I just want to share with you 2 more spices that I do keep in our family's food storage. So next I want to talk to you and show you what my family is doing as far as herb storage. And I have a variety here. The first one I store is tarragon. I use that in a lot of stuff. Poultry seasoning, I think this is almost empty. I love this stuff. I will not make a Thanksgiving dressing, a Christmas dressing, a stuffing. If some people put it in the bird, I never put my stuffing in my bird, so it is dressing. When I make my dressing, I have to have this. This stuff here is awesome, this poultry seasoning. I also keep sage, which is kind of like the poultry season, but it doesn't have all the flavors that the poultry season does. This is just ground up sage. I keep bay leaf, rosemary, and that's almost empty because I use a lot of rosemary. Thyme, chives, we go through those all the time. Marjoram, I just started recently using marjoram, and I find that it gives food great flavor. I put that in a lot of stuff. That's why the jar is so low, because I've been using it. I also stock cilantro, oregano, and as you see in these bigger jars, basil, and this is parsley. I go through a lot of parsley and a lot of basil. So those I find I do better with in bigger jars because I rotate through them a lot more. And that's also important for you to know, that how you're using and rotating through your supply of herbs or spices, so that you are using what you buy, it doesn't go to waste, and then you're not wasting money. And for me, it's all about value, saving money, and quality. So if I'm going through my herbs and spices on a regular basis, then I buy in bigger bulk. But if you know you don't do a lot of cooking, you should evaluate and probably stick with the smaller size jars like these, as opposed to the bigger jars like this here or this here. These smaller jars will do you fine. And I would just stock up on my spices with these jars first, see how quickly I rotate through them, and then move up to purchasing a bigger size jar like this, because herbs and spices are not cheap, and you don't want to waste your money or waste your product. You want to be making sure that you are using and cooking with your food storage. And the majority of people who would watch this type of emergency preparedness or food storage video, those individuals are cooking and rotating with their food storage. I know there are a lot of preppers out there that are stocking up on food storage supplies. I don't necessarily consider myself a prepper, but I do consider myself a very prepared person, so I guess I am a prepper. So make sure that you know how you're using your herbs and spices in your usage. And if you do find you have something like parsley that you go through a lot of, go ahead on and move up to the bigger size jar. Next, we're going to talk about other flavorings that I have, other than my spices, which are now in the back, and my herbs, which are in the front. I'm going to get that set up, and we'll be right back. So in this next segment, I want to talk to you about other flavorings. They're not necessarily a herb and spice, but they're dry flavorings, I'm going to call them, or liquid flavorings or peel flavorings that I keep on hand in my food storage. So I want to share that with you so that you can see what else my family is doing as far as herbs and spices and how I flavor up my food and dishes. And I think the reason why people love my food when I cook, my daughter, she really enjoys my cooking, and other family and friends have complimented me a lot on my cooking was because my food has great flavor. You know, chicken is chicken, depending on how you spice it and flavor it up. It could be roast chicken, or it can be jerk chicken, it can be Cajun chicken. So having the right spices and flavoring in your food storage and in your cooking in your pantry will make those dishes sing a different song each time you cook them and add more enjoyment to your family. So this is some other stuff that I have on hand, and I want to share that with you as well. This first container, and you've seen these containers in various videos, but in this first container I have a lot of these vanilla beans, and they come 3 to a container, and I use vanilla beans all the time. I recently started making my own ice cream here at home and vanilla sugar. You could take one of these pods, put it in an empty jar, like this one I'm going to show you later on, with some sugar. Place a couple of these beans in there, and then you'll have vanilla sugar, and that's good for flavoring up your tea and other spices. So I just keep my vanilla beans stored in this lock and lock because I can't find a way to stand them up in my cabinet. As you see, they have round bottoms. But I definitely have a good supply of vanilla beans as well. So I want to share that with you. Another item I have is minced white onions. These are dehydrated onions, and I recently started buying these from the LDS Cannery, and you can also get these through Chef Reliance. You can order from my website, prep@chefreliance.com, and I'll put a link below for you to order these. But these minced white onions, they come in handy when you don't have a whole onion. When you have a lot of beans, you have a lot of rice, you have a lot of black beans, pinto beans, things like that, or a lot of other food storage on hand, you want to give it flavor, and onions is one of those things that helps give you great flavor. And so I started buying these before I started becoming more prepared. I bought these from Penzies, but now I tend to buy these a lot more from Chef Reliance and from the LDS Cannery. I also have shallots. Now shallots are not available anywhere else, but I got them from Penzies, and I love these. I do have shallots in the freezer that I'm working through that I bought organic last year, and I peeled them and froze them. So once I finish working through those in the freezer, I'm going to go to my dehydrated ones next. I also keep celery flake in stock, and as you can see by the jar, it's quite empty. And these rehydrate up really nice, and they give great flavor. I've added them to pot roast and beef stew and chicken noodle soup, along with my food storage carrots, and I have food storage onions and things like that. And these rehydrate wonderfully. You wouldn't even know that they were dried out, and as you can see here, they're pretty dry. But once you add the hot water to them, if you're doing something like a roast that's going to cook a long time, they come back just nicely. Next, you'll see I have some crystallized ginger. I use this in a lot of dessert dishes. I just absolutely love ginger and the flavor of it. And if you grew up like me, my mom used to buy us those ginger snap cookies. These are good for that, and other type of delicious cookies where you can chop up the ginger and make a delicious dish. Pies, I use them. Ginger, I just love it. These two jars, you're probably saying, what's in those jars? What is that? These are dehydrated green bell peppers. So just like my onions, just like my shallots, I want to make sure that I have enough green bell peppers, and I just recently ordered some red bell peppers that were dehydrated, and I don't have a label on them, even though I should, but I know what they are. They're dehydrated green bell peppers, and as you can see by this jar, I've used quite a few, and then I have my backup jar right here all ready to go. And so those, with the dehydrated green bell peppers, the onions and the shallots, and the celery flakes, and my carrots that I have that come in tin cans, I definitely can do the Trinity or the Mirepoix or whatever you call it to season up my food or wherever I'm making. So making sure that you have the onions, the shallots, the celery, and the green pepper flakes in your food storage supplies. So moving on, I'm going to go to the salt. You know, salt, salt, salt. All my salt is always kosher. And I have this big jar right here that I use from, but I have an even bigger container that I refill into this. So I have boxes and boxes of 4 pounds of kosher salt, and I think kosher salt, I think kosher salt in the big boxes are like $2.25 for a big 4 pound box. So definitely stock up some kosher salt. And all my recipes, all my cooking, the salt is always kosher. And I do not even have table salt in the house. You know that little round box with the blue, with the lady holding the umbrella? I don't even have that. Kosher salt all the time. So the next area of flavoring I want to talk to you about is some of my extracts. Now I have quite a few extracts in various sizes, so I want to show you the various sizes. And the extracts I keep, this is a pure lemon extract. I put this in everything I put lemons in. So if I use a zest of lemon, I'll put a few extra teaspoons of lemon extract in that. Pure almond extract, oh, this is so good for so many cookies and cakes, you wouldn't believe it. And pure orange extract, same thing. If I'm doing an apple pie or a pumpkin banana orange mousse tart, I will substitute the vanilla extract for the orange extract, or I'll use both, because orange extract and vanilla extract doesn't change the recipe, it just adds flavor. That's what extract does, it adds flavor. So I will, if I'm using lemon in a recipe, I'll add lemon extract. If I'm using almonds, if I'm using orange, I'll use the orange extract. And here I have a good supply of vanilla extract, which I go through all the time. And like I've mentioned before, that I wish you could see inside this bottle, so that you can see that Penzeys puts one of these vanilla beans here inside the bottle. So when you open it up, that vanilla flavor really hits you in the face. So I would encourage you all to make sure that you have a good supply of extracts in your food storage as well, to make your cakes, your pies, your cookies. And some of you who are not familiar with food storage are saying, well, if you have all these flavors and spices, but you don't have eggs and milk, which is dairy, how are you going to do that? Don't worry about that. I definitely have powdered eggs, powdered milk, powdered sour cream, all in my food storage supply. So I will be able to cook and bake like I normally do on a daily basis, because I definitely have a good supply of herbs and spices. And then, speaking of lemon and orange, I'm going to just slide these down. I want to talk to you about the orange peel and the lemon peel. Now, the orange peel and the lemon peel is good when you don't have a fresh orange or a lemon. So when you don't have this, you can use this. So that's why I also keep a good supply of orange peel and lemon peel in my food storage supplies and spices. And then that way, no matter what I'm cooking, no matter what I'm baking, I have a good stock of flavorings. So in combination with my lemon extract, I use my lemon peel, which bolsters the flavor. With my orange extract, I use my orange peel, which bolsters the flavor. And I don't necessarily have to have a fresh orange. Now, fresh organic oranges are always better to have. If you can get the fresh thing, that's great. But if your Thanksgiving store is closed, you forgot to pick up some oranges, boom, here you go. You got your orange extract. So I don't do a lot of running around when I run out of stuff, because I can always fall back on my supply. So that's the extra supplies and flavors that I keep in my food storage, and I wanted to share that with you. So in this next segment, we're going to talk about my refills. So in this next segment, I want to talk to you about my refills and how I refill my jars. So as you saw in several jars as we were going through these, a lot of my spices were low. So take for instance these Montauk peppercorns. This jar is very low. And so when this jar is completely empty, when I have filled this is my pepper grinder. So when I have sealed my pepper grinder for the last time with these Montauk peppercorns, what I do is I soak the label, because the label comes off, so you can just put it in soap or water. I wash my jars, and then when you buy from, first I want to say, you don't have to buy these particular spices for your food storage. So if you're new to food storage, you don't have to buy these spices. Buy what works for you, your family, and your budget in your local area. I'm just showing you what my family does. So I just wanted to put that disclaimer in there, because I don't want anybody to think that in order to have proper food storage, you have to buy these particular spices and store them in this particular way. I'm just showing you what my family does so that it can be an inspiration for you to start your food storage prep. So getting back to the topic of the refills, when this gets empty, I'll empty it out. I'll put it in some soap and water, just regular dishwater. The label comes right off. They make these really nice where they do that. And then when you buy these jars, this particular place that I get my spices from, which happens to be Penzeys, they give me extra labels. So I just apply the new label, and then as you see, this one is a full Penzeys label, but this one I have taken my P-Touch labeler and added what the label was, because it was a refill. So when I go and buy my spices, I just ask them for, if I run out of labels, I just ask them for extra labels, and they'll give me some. And I put the labels on my jar. I pull out my P-Touch and I refill them. So you can do that. And for instance, this Montauk peppercorn, I have lots of refills here. And as you can see, I'm in no shortage of spices in my house. Now I use a lot of peppercorns, I use a lot of flavorings, but you've seen these little containers in almost every video that I shoot. But as you can see, I have a good supply of the Montauk peppercorns to refill this jar at any time, or any of my empty jars. And I normally keep one jar empty because something is always running out. And then that way I could just refill whatever that is, wash that other jar, and it'll be ready by the time I get started. So these are my refills for my Montauk peppercorn. I have lots, as you can see here, lots and lots of bags of black peppercorns, and that's because I use a lot of pepper. And like I said, I'm cooking more and more at home. We rarely eat out. We're trying to get away from the processed food, the fast food, and we're finding it more efficient for our budget to eat at home. And plus, my cooking tastes better anyway. But that's just my opinion. But I prefer to eat at home when I can. But we do travel and things like that, so we have to eat out. And then here are some of my spices. And some of my spices I put in Ziploc bags because I don't want the other spices to infuse with this spices. So I put them in a Ziploc bag. As you can see, this one is open. And this is the refill of my chives. So again, when the chives run out, I'll refill into this particular jar. And when you buy from Penzeys for the bigger bags, they come like this. They don't just come in the jars, just so you know. Or any place. Like I said, you don't have to buy the spices that I buy. I'm just sharing with you what my family is doing, and I find that most preppers and most food stores people watch these YouTube videos to see what other families are doing. So I just want to share my spice experience with you. Here's some oregano that I use for food storage as well. Then in my next refill, let's see what this one is. Because this one's open. Okay, so this is cilantro. So you see that I've already opened my cilantro. I refilled my jar. Here it is right here. Matter of fact, right on top. So I refilled my cilantro, put it in my jar, took what was left, folded it in half, placed it in a simple Ziploc bag, closed it up, and set it to the side. We got some rosemary here. And we also have, in this one, some nutmeg. You can see I've already opened that. And, oh, I do have some red bell peppers. So as we talked about before, I said I had placed an order for some red bell peppers. I didn't even know I had some red bell peppers, so I wish I had known that. So I'll definitely be using these. And as you can see, you got the green bell peppers and the red bell peppers. So it definitely keeps some flavoring. You can use these in spaghetti sauce and soups and pizzas and casseroles, meatloaf, all types of things. Anything that you would use a regular bell pepper with, you could definitely use these dehydrated red bell peppers with. Okay, so that is my family's herbs, spices, and other flavorings. And I just wanted to share that with you today so that you can give that some thought for your emergency preparedness in your food storage. How are you going to flavor all that food up if it comes to a time you have to live off of it? And in your everyday cooking. And I tell people all the time that your food storage is not something that should sit in your basement waiting for the apocalypse or when the shit hits the fan or whatever it is that you're waiting on. Rotate your food storage. Use it every day. Use it in your cooking. Use your wheat. Use your flour. Use your sugar. Use your products. Yes, I have a lot of herbs and spices in my food storage, but I use what I store, and I store what I use. So take that advice when deciding on what types of herbs and spices you're going to add to your family food storage plan. I hope this video has been helpful to you and your family. Thank you for watching another Providing Resources for Emergency Preparedness YouTube video. Check out our website at www.providingresources.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and also check out our other YouTube videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next YouTube video. Have a blessed day.